Hello. So this is our first video in probably a series of many, getting us the skills in Unity to be able to make a super simple game. This is our goal for Lab 1, getting you to make a game that can use 2D game objects with sprites, assigning scripts to game objects, using the physics engine with RigidBodies and collisions, and then translating some mouse input. We can make some nice, super straightforward games with that. That is your goal for this first lab. So let's get started in how we're going to be working on these and collaborate. This is going to be our speed run through of what I've been doing in class the past couple days. So first, I went to GitHub and I made a new repository. My new repository, I'm going to call it Piano Movers Demo because I already have another one. And this one, I'm going to leave it public. I could add a README. I showed you how to add the .gitignore here, but then I had to move it. So I'm just going to do it in the way that was probably the way that you're going to have to do it. So I'm going to create my repository here. I now have a repository Piano Movers Demo. Great. So next thing, I want to go to somewhere, get cracking, and go open a new repository. I'm going to clone it from GitHub. So I search all of my remotes over here, Piano Movers Demo. There it is. So I'm going to put it in this directory, Piano Movers Demo, and clone that repository. Good. Let's open it now. It says we really need to have something committed. So let's go ahead and make some initial commit on a README file. So something had to get made, and now it's all ready to go. Great. So next step, we open up Unity and get things working there. So I'm going to open up Unity Hub. This is the place where you need to have Unity installed. And I already do, so I can create new projects. My license is managed just fine. And now it's time to say I want to make a new project. It's going to be a 2D project, and I'm going to call it Piano Movers Demo. And where am I going to put it? I'm going to put it in the Piano Movers Demo folder that I made. So select that folder and create that project. Okay, notice here in Get Crackin', I am seeing 10,000 files or 8,000 or something files get made. There's a lot of stuff that goes into making a Unity project, and a lot of itty bitty little files that are irrelevant to the actual code that you want to be sharing. So let's see if we can get things to show up. Failed to load window layout. That was happening before. Well, let's just quit that and see if it gets going. Let's get Unity to open up here and open up my new project. Okay, here we go. I have my project open in Unity. Now, what I'm asking you to do based on this intro part is to say somebody makes a repository, the other person clones it, and then adds a circle or a square or something in there. That's good. Saves it. But still, back here in GitHub, we have 8,659 files. What I'm going to suggest another way to get that gitignore in there is to go search Google for gitignore Unity. The first link should take you to this file. I'm going to click on raw so that I see the actual file itself. And then I am going to save this as a file in my new cool Unity project. And I'm going to save it as just .gitignore. And it's got to be inside the Unity project, not just inside my GitHub, but inside the Unity project. Let's see if that gets saved. Yes, I want to start with a dot. It will be hidden. And let's see if I got it working correctly. 28. Not 8,000. Only 28 files are really important for what I need to be sharing on this. So that's enough for us to say, I want to make a commit. First, project made, circle added. Great. I push to the repository, and I take my local directory, push it out to GitHub. It's pushed, and now out on my GitHub page under Piano Movers Demo, I can see Piano Movers Demo, and I can see there's my .gitignore, and there's all the important things of the assets, the packages, and the project settings. Everything else is just so that I can run it on my machine. Good. So keep that up. The other person in the partnership should now check out the code on their machine, add a rectangle, check it back in, make sure that the first person can check out and see the rectangle, and make sure your process is working with GitHub. Okay, second thing. Now that I have this project, let's get going on creating our pieces. So, just to spec it out for our piano mover game, I am going to be making a square over here, and it's going to be our building. Stretch it out over there. I am going to make a new square that is going to go over here for our moving van, and I'm going to make another square that is going to turn into a rectangle for the net, for what I want to be happening to catch these pianos as they're thrown out the window of this building, and we have to carefully put them inside the moving van. Okay, so these objects have been created over here: circle, square, square 1, square 2. Let's give them some semantic content names. This is going to be our piano. Square 1 is going to be our building. Square 1 here. You can always double click on things and it'll show you which one it is. Yes, that's our van. And then this one is going to be our net that we're dealing with. Click back on the main camera to zoom it back in and out, and we have our picture. We can play the game by hitting the play button, and this is what the camera is going to see. Separate from the scene, this has a background in it, and the images are going to be there like this. Okay, cool. We have our pieces. Now I want to start adding in the physics. So our pianos need to fall. Let's add a component over here that I was seeing as in physics. There is a rigid body. Things that belong to the physics engine and use physics to move around, they need to have rigid bodies on them. And once I add that in, gravity works. Let's watch that one more time. Gravity will work for it. Perfect. Okay, the net. We want this piano to bounce off of the net. So we're going to add in a physics rigid body to the net. And if we watch it, both of them fall. That's not exactly what we want, but they both need to participate in the physics engine. So the next thing we're going to do is say, this is not a dynamic rigid body. This is not something that really moves according to physics. It needs to participate in the physics engine logic, but it doesn't move according to the physics engine. It moves according to the kinematic, the things that we control and create. Good. Well, it is still a physics rigid body. It didn't fall. The ball did not bounce off of it. I really want this piano to bounce off of the net, or at least stop and hit it. Let's see if we can make that happen. Both of them need to know that there has been a collision. So let's say net. You are going to get a physics 2D box collider. And this box collider has a bounding box that we can create down here. 1, 1 matches exactly whatever scale we've created on this net. That is the size of the bounding box. I can make it like 1, 2, and you can see that little green square showing up a little taller than our actual visual image. The bounding box is there. Good. Well, we also, even that might not be enough. If we run it, we still have the piano fall directly through the net because the piano needs to know about collisions as well. So here we're going to add a circle collider. And conveniently, it's going to be exactly the same size as the sprite. We can always change that down here to make it be a bigger circle so that it will do different things. But to make it match exactly, we'll leave it like this. And finally, we are in a state where the ball, or the piano, hits the net and interacts with it like we would expect. Okay. That gets us a lot of pieces going. Make sure we're saving things. This is a good point to checkpoint. And so back over here, it says that we have done things in our scene. We have changed things. We haven't really added new things, but we've just been changing the scene, adding components to all these other pieces. It's stored here in this file. And so let's stage all the changes. We're going to say like added sprites and physics engine components. Good. Push that to our repository and it has been saved. Next up, now I want this to bounce. I want my pianos to be able to bounce as being thrown out the building. They're going to bounce a few times off of the net before they get to the moving van. Okay, the way we're going to do that is to make a new material. And so we're going to find that down here by creating a new material for us. And it is going to be a 2D physics material. Great. We have our tennis ball bouncing off of things. And up here we get to control the bounciness. If it's 1, then nothing will get lost when we hit items. If it's less than that, say 0.9, then it will bounce but slowly lose a bit of its energy as it hits other things. So 0.9 is kind of like you have a rubber ball that you're bouncing, and 0 is a big cannonball falling from the sky. So let's make our pianos act more like rubber balls because they are hitting this net and being able to move them from one spot to another. The piano here has a material which is nothing right now. Let's give it this bouncy material. And we go back to the piano and say, you are bouncy. Let's watch what happens. We have our piano now bouncing, but with that 0.9, it is slowly bouncing less and less and less as it comes together. If it was 1, it would bounce back to the exact same height that it was. Okay, so we have items moving according to physics and now bouncing off of each other where they need to go. This is a good place to stop it. That sort of covers what we did in our first class. And then the next video I make will cover what we have done in the second class to turn this from a simple demonstration there into making the rest of the pieces come together for the game interactions.